Now, you could call it a sort of political Ehersplitten lauten Boomer, which is a German word for a powerful explosion. And arguably, nothing could be more powerful from the point of view of a political earthquake than the double announcement today of the defection of both the governor of Delta State, Sheriff Oborevwori, and the former governor of the state, Aniagwu, from the PDP to the APC, taking with them the entire PDP structure in the state. Although it had been rumored, today's confirmation has left many Nigerians thunderstruck, not least those in the PDP. According to the governor's press secretary, the decision was made after wide consultations and in the best interests of Delta State. His opponents say he's motivated by extreme self-interest and a desire to secure his political future. So, coming from a governor who once said that Delta is PDP and PDP is Delta, and from a former governor who was the PDP vice presidential candidate in the 2023 general election, how much momentum is this likely to give the APC? And does it signal the final nail in the coffin for the PDP in the state and perhaps even beyond? And of course, he's taken everything with him, hasn't he? Including members of the State Assembly. They've all crossed over from the PDP to the APC. Well, for more on this, I'm joined now on the line from Asaba by the Commissioner of Information as well as Rural Works in Delta State, Charles Aniagwu. Mr. Aniagwu, thank you very much indeed for joining us. I think this is what is called a triple whammy. Not just the governor, but the former governor of Delta State and also the entire PDP structure in Delta State has been moved into the APC. I mean, how did it come to this? What did the PDP do to deserve this?
Thank you very much, Charles. Good evening, Nigerians. It's nice to join you this evening to take a look at this political development in Delta. If you watch the briefing I heard earlier, I made it very, very clear that when the taste of the palm wine changes, obviously the drinking pattern will also change. And that's what has happened in terms of the politics of our dear state and across the length and breadth of Nigeria. You have followed a whole lot of development in the polity, and we have gone through certain processes, particularly consulting with a whole number of persons in our dear state who belong to our party because we are a political family. And they were unanimous that it's important that we take this political move today, Charles.
Well, I mean, you know, the people are still scratching their heads, and I wonder what you would say the APC has done to deserve this gift from the entire PDP structure in Delta State. I mean, have they earned enough credits from the Nigerian people to be handed over such a commanding gift on a platter of gold?
I'm sure I have followed you over time in the course of your interviews, and you are somebody I have enormous respect for. You have also mentioned in the course of time that somehow every politics is local. We have examined the decision we took today, particularly in line with our development trajectory, and we believe that this decision will help to further cement the development focus of our government in Delta. We have seen the need to collaborate with the federal government so that at the end of the day, much more dividends of democracy is made available to our people. What is driving us at this moment is the need to cement those developmental efforts, collaborate with the center, and bring those many good things that the center can afford to possibly make available to our people. We have examined the development also in our own party, and we discovered that over time, there seem to be a whole lot of challenges that have become quite intractable. and that it is said that where you have peace, development is most likely to thrive. And we need a way we'll be able to have enough peace, collaborate with a number of persons, both at the center and across the length and breadth of this country, all with a view to ensuring that we bring that development that is much needed and cement it in our dear state. Charles.
Well, I mean, President Bola Tinubu has said, he said it at the outset and he said it subsequently, that he is a president for not some, but all Nigerians. That he is not a president for states that are APC governed, but that he's a president for all Nigerians, irrespective of what state that is and who's governing the state, and that everybody is entitled to the benefits and the dividends of democracy. I mean, on that basis, why would you need to switch to the APC in order to get what you perceive to be the benefits of the dividends of democracy?
Well, my brother Charles, as a professional, you do know that sometimes you migrate from one job or one profession to the other, or from one particular occupation to the other, which you may call occupational migration. You do not migrate only because you feel that where you are going to is going to afford you the opportunity of realizing certain goals that you may have set for yourself. But sometimes you also have to migrate because it gives you peace of mind. And so when people move from one place to the other, there are reasons behind it. And I have made it very, very clear that we have moved because, number one, we are quite convinced that in that movement, we will be able to further cement the development trajectory that we have witnessed in the last 22 months. And that in doing so, we're also collaborating with the rest of the country. Majority of our people have seen the need to collaborate with the president, even across the divide. So it's not just a southern issue. And so for us to take that decision, and particularly with every member of the PDP, especially our leaders at the National Assembly, at the State Assembly, political leaders in the state, both former and present, in terms of those who have been in the National Assembly and those who have held sway at different levels, the chairman of local government, and then past leaders of the state. They have done a lot of analysis, and we have discovered that the trajectory of our own party, the PDP, is not likely going to conform with those development goals that we have set for ourselves going forward. And that is why we took this decision, not because we believe that the PDP should be buried, but because we have seen the need to move forward in such a way that we bring much more development to our state.
Well, you mentioned earlier, Mr. Aniagwu, that you have followed my career, and I have to say that I have also followed your career, and I think you've done very well for yourself politically. I mean, you've always said, if I remember correctly, that you are a Democrat. You've described yourself as a Democrat. I wonder whether it concerns you that this could well appear to look as if Nigeria is turning into a one-party state, and how much that rankles you as a Democrat.
What you understand, democracy is about number. It's not about where you are standing at a time. It's about democracy. We must be able to define what democracy offers us and what it doesn't offer us. And I told you there is a very wide range of consultation that was carried out by our leaders. And at the end of the day, it was the overwhelming view of members of the party. That's very democratic. The governor did not just wake up and say, I'm jumping into another party. He consulted widely, and a whole number of leaders moved a unanimous motion that it's important that we move. Now, coming back to the issue of how a functional democracy could be and how we may be strengthening a particular party and weakening the other, don't forget that every political party, every state will look at where the policies of a government to take a decision. I told you that every politics is local. For us in Delta, we have seen that this movement will help the growth of our state. Our governor was elected to bring development to the good people of Delta. And I believe that in doing so, working with the immediate past governor and other leaders of the party, that collaborating with the leaders in the APC, with a very large extent, hasten these talked about development that we are championing in our dear state. Perhaps in another state, it could be a different kettle of fish. But where we are today, that oxygen is needed for us to be able to advance the course of development. And we have seen that oxygen is not in short supply in the way we have moved to.
Well, I mean, I wonder what this is going to mean to those members of the APC in Delta State who've been with the APC from the outset in the state and who helped build the party there. I mean, because I'm wondering whether they're going to now essentially be turfed out, because from what we've seen, what we've heard, we're told that your lot are going to join the APC as joiners, which essentially means that you're now going to be a part of the very fabric and the very structure and foundation of the APC. I mean, what happens to those people who were there before you strolled in and who essentially built the APC in Delta State from the very foundations?
I'm sure you are a very keen follower of UEFA Champions League. And when a particular player, for instance, Messi, moves from a club where he was playing before to a new club, he goes there to begin to play with the players who are in that club. And then all is for the purpose of scoring goals and then winning laurels for the new club that they have joined. For us, I made it very clear in my earlier response to one of your earlier questions that we are going to engage in the realignment of forces, all for the purpose of bringing more development to our people, reduce incidences of squabbles, build alignment and some form of collaboration with our other brothers who have been in the APC before. Nobody is going to chase anybody out. We hope and believe that as we continue to move in this direction, we'll possibly be in a position to cross all the T's, dot all the I's, and ensure that at the end of it works. If you are engaged in any political setting that does not bring about development, it means you have lost the essence of politicking. That is a very clear difference between political parties and pressure groups. For us, it is not only for us to use political party to win election. It is also that after you have won that election and you have come in together, you are able to have a much more peaceful atmosphere to develop your state. We have continued in the last 22 years to bring development to Delta, and I'm sure you may have followed through, either through media reportage or through some other means, a whole lot of development that is going on in Delta. It is not because of want of that development that we are moving, but because we believe that our movement will help us to further advance it and make it work much more for our people. So that at the end of the day, by the time we head towards 2027, even without stress, our people will say, yes, we have done so well, and we have collaborated with other of our brothers who were in a different camp before now, and so that at the end of the day, we are having a development that works for us.
Well, I mean, some have said that it might actually force people, this kind of move might actually force people to reject the APC, especially since the APC, according to them, has really nothing to show for its 10 years in office in Nigeria, and that all this might end up backfiring against you. I mean, what's your reaction to that?
Don't forget, the discussion we're having here is the decision of Delta to join the APC. We are not in a position to begin to analyze how another person, another state is going to examine what the APC have done or what they have failed to do. We are looking at what the president has done in the last 22 months in the saddle, how it affects us in Delta, and we are quite also confident with what our governor is doing here in Delta, that if we have joined forces with what the president is doing as it relates to Delta, that is going to enhance both our political development and our own social development. So what any other person may want to say in another state is a different kettle of fish. Where, like some people say that without sounding derogatory, that every possible gate man with his own kettle. Let me put it that way. And so I made it clear that if you do not change the drinking pattern of a palm wine whose tastes have changed, you are likely to either get drunk or you miss the mark. In this case, the political palm wine have indeed, the taste have changed tremendously. And remarkably so, we have to also adjust our drinking pattern. And it's in adjusting that drinking pattern that we took the decision that we took today. At the end of the day, we are agreeing to further cement the bond of development that we are witnessing. Of course, get our people to see the need to support us true and true.
Well, I like the analogy you use of palm wine. I mean, the reason being simply that I like palm wine. So when you talk about palm wine, I kind of think of what I might want to do at the end of this program this evening. But the PDP are saying, Mr. Aniagwu, that the governor and the former governor may have been coerced by the APC to make this move, with threats of things like EFCC clampdown, especially for the former governor Ifeanyi Okowa, who's facing allegations of corruption and who is actually being investigated. In other words, that, you know, once you join the APC, your sins are forgiven.
I can tell you categorically that the decision we took today has nothing to do with coercion from any quarter. It has more to do with the issues I have clearly enumerated in the course of this interview. And then in taking that decision, a very wide consultation was carried out, which I have also mentioned earlier. And that, for you to see that one of the persons that joined me in the course of the press briefing shortly after the endorsement of the move to the APC by a cross spectrum of leaders of the party was at one time, or rather the pioneer chairman of PDP in Delta, Senator James Manager. He was a man at the time we call an indigene of the Senate, because for about 20 years he was one of those that held sway in the Nigerian Senate, having been elected to that particular chamber 5 times. And so when you see individuals at that level and of that political caliber also seeing the need for us to have a shift, you will understand that a whole lot of calculation have gone. If he was to be a medical doctor, he will be in the category of a senior consultant. And so politically, we have a whole lot of political consultants who have examined the whole issues vis-a-vis our development trajectory, and then we came to that inevitable conclusion that this movement is something that we have to undertake.
Right. Well, finally, and we thank you very much indeed for the time that you've taken to talk to us. I mean, I know that you've talked about the fact that you are in Delta State, and therefore you're looking at things from that micro perspective. But going a bit macro, and knowing you as a commissioner for information, and you know, as a man with an ear to the ground, I wonder whether you can confirm what we're hearing, that other governors of the PDP might be poised to defect to the APC.
I am not in a position to confirm that. What I know is that in Delta we took a decision as it suits us. Perhaps other states will also examine how it suits them, whether such decision will advance their development trajectory. But for us, we have taken this decision because we are quite convinced that working with these other elements in the APC will, to a very large extent, help to cement the bond that exists between us and a good number of our brothers who before now were in the APC. And so what it is that as a political family, we took this decision in the best interest of our political family and in the best interest of development of our state. What the other governors are likely going to do will be left to them. Don't forget, not long ago, just about a few days ago, some governors of the PDP met in Ibadan, and you saw the decision they took with respect to them not wanting to merge or collaborate with other persons. And we don't believe that that is a decision you take from a weak position, because we have 11 governors. And so when others are making moves to collaborate with other people, and you are now proceeding in this other direction, you could see that those challenges are quite heavy, and that anybody who wants to make progress is allowing himself to be weighed down by these discordant tunes, may at the end of the day have to regret not being able to bring about that development that is much sought after. So for us, we are convinced that having a much more comfortable home, having a much more alignment of forces, and having a much more collaborative effort that is development oriented will lead us faster to that goal of further developing our state than having to grandstand in a place where you are not too sure of what is happening. Recall a while ago I gave you the issue of somebody's leg that was amputated for the purpose of keeping the person alive.
Okay, on that note, I want to thank you very much indeed. Mr. Charles Aniagwu is the Commissioner of Information as well as Rural Works in Delta State, and he was talking to me on the line there from Asaba. Thank you very much indeed.